Hi guys, this is Kindness. I'm gonna do your August 2022 readings. This is for the air signs, and basically the reason why I do this kind of readings are basically to help you with engineering luck and flow states with your divine timing, working with the tide again and rather than against it, to help you be in sync with existence. So that you're working with nature's clock and schedule to do things as it's been scheduled in by nature so that it can be manifested. So no matter what happens, you're able to get what you need done when it actually needs to be done, rather than following your idea of when things should happen and then life making your best laid plans fall apart. Okay, so I'm going to do past, present, and future cards, and then do the underlying causes for each one of those, and then give you three Astro Dice readings with each card, well, with each section. Right, so I'm just shuffling cards. So the first one you've got is Eight of Swords reversed. Second one is Two of Cups upright. Third one is Ten of Swords upright. Right, the underlying causes are Ten of Cups. Second one is Page of Swords. And then this one is the Six of Cups. So this is the past, this section, this is the present, and this is the future for this month. So this is what all of this will lead to. This is where you will be during this month. You'll be fluctuating between this, and then this is the background that is fueling this. Right, so you have the Eight of Swords in the past. Right, so you've had to have like not an ultimatum, but you've kind of put that into your own mind. I don't feel like you've said this out loud, but I feel like you have had to basically say, to yourself, I've had enough. I'm gonna make sure that because I'm discontent. I need to find a new way of doing things. I need to transform things in the past to make them into something new. It's like doing up or making over your life in a way, if that makes sense. Um, you've got quite a varied spread in the sense of having loads of different areas of your life factored in this month. So there's no real like one core area of your life you're working on this month. It's just bits and pieces of each. You are very much in your feelings this month, so it has to be said. You've got cups, so you are kind of at the moment. It's like faking it till you're making it. It's that making other people assume that you are doing well emotionally in your relationships, but um, you're trying to be quite practical and systematic. You have like boundaries where you feel like um, you, it's almost like you've let someone else override the rules that you have for engagement with other people, and you've kind of, instead of holding them to account for the same way that you would other people, you have not followed your own thing and not been not been the authority in your own relationship. So you have it in terms of your own time and energy, and you've allowed someone else to bully you in a relationship, if that makes sense. Not so much bully, but dominate and overstep, if that makes sense. um, it feels like you do have a lot that you want to get done though, and you're trying to move it up a level. It's not so much in your romantic relationships. This feels more like it's family. For some of you, it's social if they're friends that feel like family, if that makes sense. But I feel like basically, the Eight of Swords allows you to find your way out of a problem, but through thinking it through, but like not overthinking it, but kind of taking action, because you've kind of had it up to here kind of thing about it. You don't really want to keep repeating the same mistakes. So where you are right now is you're all about finding like-minded people who feel the same way about you in terms of your relationships. So I feel like you're in a bit of a homebody period of your life at the moment. So whether it's you're working from home so you feel a bit more cozy, or you're kind of taking some time out to have some you time, if that makes sense. Whether you're in your room a lot or whatever it is, it feels like you're looking to find like-minded people online, or who are willing to share those kind of things with you, if that makes sense, that kind of lifestyle with you. So it feels like it's good for you being able to like mesh things together. You're kind of moving away from people who make you feel like you have to have some sort of pretense around you in order to be able to be around them, to wanting someone who's on the same page, basically. It does feel like you've had to be aloof from somebody in the recent past, especially the past couple of weeks, and that has been because they've been trying to like take over your time, basically your time and location. So you, by when I say that in the sense of sometimes people keep you engaged with what they're asking you to do, even if it's spending time with them longer than they need to, or than you need to, and so you prioritize them so highly that you don't get time for yourself. And I feel like that's where you've been, and that's where you're trying to kind of get out of. So you've been ghosting them and avoiding them, in order to kind of regain your own time and figure out what to do. Um, it does feel like you're on a better trajectory. You've got quite a lot of, you're looking for feedback a lot, it feels like, because you've got the even numbers here and here. So a lot of it on here. So you're basically trying to find ways of getting feedback from the situation before you take action, not just leap. You're looking before you leap, basically. Um, where it goes to, where you're going to in terms of your next level of things, and feels like this month is edging towards that. As you're preparing all of this stuff so that you can go towards this, is about your kind of more, you know, desires for being able to move and be bold in the world, if that makes sense. Career wise, you've got practical work routines here. Um, this feels more like, even though it's the cups, it's more the fourth, eighth, and 12th house in terms of resources, having a blueprint for success with Scorpio type stuff, or uh, you know, having enough time to rest, having enough time to be creative, um, because you take everything on, and then you've been struggling. So it feels like this is the last part of it. If it's not a project of a cycle, if that makes sense, because it feels like it could be both, or one or the other, and I just feel like you have been you've been revisiting old kind of relationships, or old patterns of relationships, if that makes sense, and going, well, was that worth my time? Does that person work with schedule in my life? You know what I mean? It doesn't even work in terms of time frame. So are these habits good for me? Because sixes are habits. Um, and I feel like because you're kind of you're swinging from one to the other in terms of going, well, I need to step away from this person who's got me trapped in this awkward cycle. I am too. Um, I can't really tell them this, if that makes sense. I have to think it through versus like I want to be around like-minded people who not just think like value the same things as I do, prioritize the same things as I do, have the same kind of level of emotion, so I can feel replenished when I'm around them. Otherwise, I feel drained. Whilst I'm with this person, I feel drained because they're a bit pessimistic and tend to go down that route. I feel like there'll be one specific person that you'll be like that with, if that makes sense. You just kind of want to edge away from them a bit more just to be able to have your own time. You are looking, I mean, not right now, you're not able to get it, but you will have some long-term gains that you're working towards. You're not necessarily able to manifest this month, but you're basically coming to the fruition of it by the end of this month. You've got to the end of it, and then it feels like by October for you guys, there'll be like all of the work that you've been doing in your own stuff and your projects and your relationships, new cycles you've been trying to begin, will be able to begin properly. But it feels like you're wrapping this bit up, if that makes sense. And it's been quite a arduous journey, basically. So it feels like you're going places. Anyway, so let me just do some astro dice. Here, hold on. Okay, so you've got Venus. That will, be talking about the relationship side of this, the fact that you are prioritizing. It's both Taurus and Libra. So on Taurus side, you're trying to find like-minded people, like the two here, and then it's about the one-on-one relationship with that person, or the business people, or even the client people that you've got, the clients that you might have, so that you're trying to make sure that you have enough time for you, because you're not trying to schedule your life into a situation where you're constantly drained, and you're very aware of that. So in order to prevent that, you're rethinking what's valuable, what's not, you know what I mean, in your life. So you will be, and it's basically about it's about Gemini, which means about communication. So it's whether it's like you're exchanging of information, so in this case, maybe you're in this relationship, you talk a lot, and exchange information about, certain things that you need to figure out, so that maybe people, maybe you've got a whole bunch of people that aren't working with you, but you need information about them, and so maybe you talk with this person about that kind of stuff, so that you can gain information about them. With the two over here, it could be about family, or it could be about your earnings or things like that, because two also represents earnings, or anything to do with like Taurian things. So it could be communication around that. It could be you with Gemini. It could also be that you are prioritizing or trying to figure out, because Venus is the prioritizing and the valuing, and then Gemini is all about communication. So maybe you need to figure out what your priorities are about your messaging, your marketing, your communications. Maybe writing contracts or emails, whatever. You're trying to figure out like a way so that it doesn't take over your life, so that you have enough time to do things that give you and income, so that you can also say what you value to others and be able to work on the things that you value. Okay, right. So this is for the present, and that's where you've come from in the past. So that's where you were. This is where you are now, which is Neptune, Taurus, and ninth house, Jack, like that. So you've got multiple things. You've got like-minded people that you want to be getting on with and be building relationships with. That's the two Taurus here. It's about the values that you have, that you want to be able to do all this, relating to them about it. But this is either on a spiritual level is quite high. So in terms of like things you want to be doing, these people trigger off your subconscious in a interesting way, so that maybe they give you a lot of abstract thoughts that you might have, like you might even dream about them or something like that, if that makes sense. So in the sense that people might turn up in your dreams, and you might have abstract dreams that represent these people. I would say they could also help make you speak in a very like creative manner, so your speech patterns will be quite creative, or like about analogies and things like that are kind of metaphorical and very creative, overly creative, fantastical, maybe even. You might be also, for some of you, it would be broadcasting things, but it could be for other people, it's having a teacher or a guru, or being one, and or an expert, or you could be your like masters, or your like the kind of work that you do to get a certificate, to then get a job, if you need to get certified to get an extra position or whatever, or to move up in your job. it could be to do with something creative, but it also, if you do like data type stuff, like coding or whatever, it could be Pisces tend to, or Neptune tends to do with deep learning or black box kind of type deals. So it could be that. It could be anything to do with broadcasting. So if you're a singer or someone who does use their voice to or broadcast or someone like that, you could be using it to get royalties, but you're trying to make sure that your stuff doesn't get caught up in a black box, in terms of it's not, you need to make sure that the metadata on your information isn't lost. This is pointlessly technical, but you get what I mean, so that you don't lose royalties, whatever, when it's broadcast. Right. So right. So this one, it would be Mars, 4th house, and Aries. So basically, you're looking at, Mars in the 4th house usually talks about like protecting or defending what your resources are, being systematic about how you go about doing these things. This is also about your energy, because Aries talks about, your energy levels not being hurt too much, if that makes sense, so that you can actually get what you wanted done. I would say also that the Aries fourth house would be you being quite direct at home about what you want, being very willful and powerful by yourself, and doing everything DIY at home. So you could be making a lot of things DIY, or making things bespoke. Trying to do everything in one go quickly, that kind of thing. And that's your way of like finishing off your cycle, and getting the last pieces done. Because in a way, it's almost like you have to do everything systematically in a quick way. So one-off kind of one shot takes kind of thing. So in terms of like filming stuff or whatever. Okay, so that would be it. So thanks, group one. All right. Have a nice reading, and then have a nice month, and I'll catch you in the next one. Right, so this is for group 2. Okay, and I'm shuffling the cards. There will be 3 sections: past, present, and future. And then I'll get clarifiers or things to talk about the underlying causes for each one of those sections, and then do 3 rolls of the dice, 1 for each section. Okay. Right, so first card is the past, and it's King of Wands reversed. Second one is the Ace of Swords reversed, and that's the present. This is the third card, which is the Ten of Diamonds. Upright. The underlying factor over here in the past is Page of Wands. The present underlying factor is the Six of Wands. And the third one is, in the future, is Ace of Wands reversed. Okay, so it generally seems like a very positive reading already. A lot of it's about projects you've already got going. In terms of actually manifesting it, you're going to be getting the results this month. But I just want to show the trajectory of it. You've got a couple of aces already, so there's a bunch of new beginnings. And then you've got, you also have, this is the 14th card, so it has a 10 and a 4 in it. So it's 10 and 10 here. It shows that you've actually like systemized one of your projects already. You've been working on it in the past. You've got a lot of it systemized. You're still to get it completely done. That's why this bit will be the manifestation of it, because it's Pentacles. That will be systemized. But you've been working on it here in the past, You know, on a higher level, even if you haven't been able to physically get it together just yet, you are working on it and getting it done, and systemizing in terms of it's almost like you're taking higher thought. These ones, the ones in an angle, are all higher, so you're listening to your higher mind, in order to be able to get the information around this. So, on some level, you've been pushed by your instincts to start systemizing your projects, and making it so that it's structured, and you've been kind of taking your instincts, you know, your instincts kind of, taking action on what your instincts are saying, basically. Here you've got the page of wands, so it's been small actions you've been taking for the long term, basically, but you've felt enthusiastic and, enjoying it. I felt like there's been, serendipity around it, so it's come from a very positive place, and, that's going to help you through this month. So right now you are in a phase of, it's like you've got a new beginning, but you haven't taken an action to cut away something from your past to have that new beginning. So you're still working on that bit. You've kind of, on some level, reached some material success. I mean, in the sense of creating habits and patterns that of your for your work life that really work for you, and, you're basically, you're enjoying it, but you're also able to figure out how to problem solve, very easily, very quickly. You know, you've been able to make decisions around this, because of the way that you problem solve, and that has led to a bunch of victories. But this has been in your mind's eye, if that makes sense, because it's been more, you've been able to problem solve it and see how it would work, intuitively, if that makes sense, in your higher mind. So you're going into this next phase where, because of the stuff you've already systemized, things are starting to come to fruition in terms of in the real tangible world, basically, and you will be seeing that they come together. This will also be for you quite material results. So in terms of like, the tangible goods in your life, your material life, your, um, things that you'll be able to like see, and it's also for some of you be a very happy home life, but like an actual, like, when I say actual home life, it's not just in the emotions. This is actually having a good, like, looking around and going, oh, my house looks nice, or my things feel better, if that makes sense, around me. So generally I would say you're into a good thing. Here you're looking at, although you won't necessarily be able to have that new beginning in terms of your work life just yet, in terms of like a new stage where you're actually starting a whole new project, or a new beginning of a new section in it, you it's being slowed down a bit, if that makes sense, because it's Ace of Wands reversed. Partly because you're enjoying this work and life, home life and work life. It just feels like you just have things just the way you need them in order to have the good life that you have at this scale of things, if that makes sense. So you aren't rushing to change everything up for a new project just yet, but that's not a bad thing. It just feels like you've got a better structure. Your life is structured well at this point in this month. So yeah, it just feels like there's a lot of positivity. So I'm just gonna do your dice for you and see what you get. Okay, we've got Mercury here, Aquarius, and the 12th house. So where you have had to upgrade here, you've systemized things, and it's partly your workflow, right, that you've systemized. Um, so in terms of like what you get done, how often you get it done, different ways you can, and all that stuff. So that's your workflow. With the way you've been able to do this in the past has been to do with improving, your any form of communication that's to do with improving, your long-term goals. So this is included note taking, communications, digital devices, things where you actually write stuff down. It's the actual communication, the actual words, and the actual note taking that you've done, in terms of to-do lists and whatnot, but like long term ones. You've been quite strategic about it in terms of prioritizing, weighing stuff up about it. You've got the 11 that adds, the 101 and 11 that adds to 2, which is in here. So you've been able to, here it's like trying to make sure that your free will is, which is the 1 in the 12, trying to make sure that you have made sure that your will is taken into account properly. Here you're trying to make that decision so that your thoughts are the ones that are driving things, rather than anything else. So it feels like here it was more of a struggle to get that together, and so even though you've been trying to prioritize, especially when it comes to all these like to-do lists and things that you're going to put together, because that decision hadn't been made to cut off something, it feels like you were struggling to get that balance right. So you felt like, not that you were a victim, but that you were at the mercy of the things around you, if that makes sense. As you're getting to the present, and you've got into a better pattern, you are trying to make sure that you're listening to your free will. A lot of this is like listening to yourself, being in the moment, like not being just too focused on the future, if that makes sense. Or in a positive way, that looking forward to the future has got you a lot of places, if that makes sense. But you don't want it to like get to the point where you're confusing yourself about what you want to do, or your writing, or what you put down on paper has got you confused when you look back at it, because you haven't got your free will aligned first. First you get your free will sorted, then you sort out your priorities, so that you can then you prioritize according to what you actually want, if that makes sense. Otherwise it's hard for you to get the new beginning in your projects, and to cut away from things that you don't need to, so you can have a new way of thinking about things, because you're still kind of caught up in old ways of thinking about things. Does that make sense? So yeah, I'm just going to do the second. Okay, so right, this is Mars, this is Virgo, and this is the third house. So Mars in the third house tends to make you courageous. So you're working out how to courageously step away from things that don't work in the past. You're also kind of problem solving. So it's like tweaking things, like you're figuring out like, what do I really want, and you're how do I step away from things that have already been working for me, but I want to do it my way now. You know what I mean? Like I figured out how other people do it. I just want to figure out how to do things my way. You are also having good routines, because when you have Mars and Virgo, it tends to make you have enough energy to start as you mean to go on, and finish what you started, if that makes sense. So that really helps you in terms of giving you the energy and vitality. And then the Virgo side of it, and like what you're doing this about. So whether it's like your routines, it would be for you the problem solving. You'll be able, the problem solving ability that you have will give you more energy and stamina for the next bit, if that makes sense. It will also help you with anything 8th house related. So that is like, it could even be an inheritance, or taxes, or anything that's under the ground, or things like that. So anything in terms of underground, or anything secretive, or anything like that you've been doing, you'll be able to problem solve around that, so you have the courage to do what you need to do, if that makes sense. So yeah, let me just get you some more guys. Okay, so this is the future. Wow, okay, we've got Mars again. So this is a very willful period. You really Mars coming up so much, even with the Aries cards, aces here. shows that a lot of this is about willpower and you being true to yourself. The more authentic you're being to yourself, the better you get out of this month, the better things you get out of this month. This is Pisces, so you need to, it's almost like you can manifest your desires where it comes to your creating structures that you like within your home and family, and doing that in a way that allows you to exert your physical energy in a semi-spiritual way, even if it just means like taking a long walk and clearing your head out of it. That would be worth it. And some people it's yoga, meditation, tai chi, something like that. It feels like that would help you. Obviously you've got the 12th houses, so for some of you it will be working with like a multinational company. So it's a company that has bases everywhere, so like Google, YouTube, whatever, that kind of thing. And that energizes you and then allows you to kind of create structure around things that you've manifested. So this could also be your career because it's 10, and it feels like that would give you new opportunities to do things long term, for long term investment. Like, this is not an immediate gain for some of the things that you want to do, but it gives you some structural positives and manifestations now, but there'll be even more gain later in terms of the long term. And you're kind of learning how to be adaptable as well. So some of the best things about this structure for you, in terms of the structure of your work and your home life, will be to do with how adaptable you are and how adaptable your plans are to be able to handle everything that you want to include in your thing, so that in your schedule, so that you feel like you have time enough for all the things that you've got to do. So yeah, hopefully that helped. Right, okay, thanks guys. I'll see you in the next one. Just gonna get some water. Okay, so I'm just going to shuffle these. It's going to be put into the past, present and future sections of your reading. The top row will be the themes, the major themes, and then the ones at the bottom will show you the underlying reasons for those themes. And then I'll do astro dice rolls for readings for each section, okay? And there'll be past, present, future as well. Okay, so this is the past card, which is King of Swords in the past. The present is the Ace of Swords upright, and then the future is the King of Wands reversed. Oh, sorry, I think that one's reversed as well. So the past underlying issue is the Two of Cups. The present one is the Six of Wands reversed, and the last one is the Two of Diamonds upright. Okay, so when I put them in a diagonal, that usually means it's your higher instincts, the higher self, and also if you believe in it, the heavens, if that makes sense, trying to give you some guidance on something specifically that will be coming up, that has yet to manifest. Okay, so this shows where you have had to weigh things up, be in your head a lot to try and find a way to upgrade things. This is coming from some version of like a cycle you've already completed, but you're trying to upgrade again. And it feels like that's within your 3rd, 7th and 11th house. So that's to do with your communication, short journeys, and then also to do with neighbours, family, communication, what else? Everything Gemini, basically. And then the 7 would be to do with the 7th house, one-on-one partnerships, all sorts in terms of like client one-on-one, romantic one-on-one, anything else like that, and best friends kind of thing. And the 11 would be like trying to get a promotion, trying to get awarded, working with like big groups of 11 plus people. So I would say you have been trying to upgrade all of that, but not being able to get as far as you wanted. But you're kind of blessed that way because you're kind of like being told to go down that direction, told that, your instincts are showing you that, and it's your higher self that's showing you that. Here it's saying you are trying to get away from people who are not like-minded and who feel very differently and have different kind of an emotional pool to draw from, and who don't really aren't like-minded where it comes to relationships in your life. So in order to do the upgrade, and I feel like you have you know who aren't like-minded where it comes to family, being resourceful or respecting your resources. You've had to draw a bottom line around something and say this is enough, I don't want this, but mainly in your own emotions and your subconscious, and it's kind of like it's eaten up at you emotionally more than anything else. I don't feel like you've actually confronted anything, and don't feel like you necessarily have to. I feel like this is a case where you are having to do all of this internally, and then you make your decision and you make changes in your life, but you don't have to necessarily inform the other person in order to get what you need. Generally, I would say you're getting to where you want to go. You are trying to do this to improve your status in life, and I say that in the sense of career, whether it is and then also in terms of like your life purpose, what people know you for, if that makes sense. So it's not shallow, it's more your kind of need to improve the scale of your life so that you're not having a little life but having a bigger life, if that makes sense. And so that you can live life fully, because it feels like you are so capable of a lot but you don't really get to, because of being in draining relationships where it's been very one-on-one, but people have said that they're very like-minded to you, but then they actually don't respect your time, energy, or money or resources here. So yeah, I feel like here there is a sense of having to find a way of cutting people off that don't work for you, making you, because you kind of want a new phase of how you think about things. You want to be able to, it's like you want to be able to desire more and follow your desires, but you can't really pursue that whilst all of this stuff is going on. And you want to be able to, like I said with the 3-7-11, you've got to be able to work with so many different types of people, but you can't have that new beginning yet without shifting your relationships a bit, if that makes sense. And you're due a new way of thinking, and you know what I mean. When you start thinking new thoughts about life and yourself, and you feel that you can do more, and just kind of you tend to be more outgoing. You haven't been able to tap into that because of all of this. So you're very, very capable of being outgoing. It's just this stuff has slowed you right down. I feel like you're almost at a point where you could be victorious about your projects or about your social life, but it feels like this month is more work, projects, and social life than it is about relationships, in the sense of romantic new beginnings and that kind of stuff. But I do feel like the relationship theme is kind of weighing on you in the back of your mind. It's not something necessarily that you want it to, because you kind of want to just be practical and get stuff done and move quickly, but you find yourself in the same old struggles, and you're trying to find ways out of it. So this one is King of Wands, and this is the future. This is where you're heading towards with this dilemma. Is right. It's trying to have enough energy for this new beginning, because this is sometimes it represents Aries. It's a 14th card like this one. So this is all about trying to sustainably do what you want. 14 tends to be the high level. It is Taurian. It's all about sustaining and maintaining things you've manifested because you value them. Whereas this is to do with your projects and your social life, and the fire and the passion you have for them, right? And so you, at the moment, the way you're going, things aren't able to move just yet. But the more you get that sorted, the more this shifts to that. Does that make sense? Like, it's totally possible that you could do that. Yeah, you have like a 70 to 80% chance of doing that. But you, at the moment, it's like this, so it's a struggle unnecessarily, if that makes sense. Because you can totally change it. You just kind of have to give yourself a bit more of a kind of push, if that makes sense. You've got a lot of watching and waiting kind of thing going on. You've got a lot of twos. So, like I said, Taurus and two are basically the same fractal energy as far as I'm concerned. So, the way they work is you've got twos and 14s here. So the underlying issues are stuff to do with things that you've already manifested, that the minimal outcomes already manifested, if that makes sense. In terms of relationships that aren't seem to work so well, you're being torn in terms of time and physical location. When people are telling you to be places you can't be in two places at once, kind of situation. And you're having to make these executive decisions where you're going to go, well, I'm going to choose to do things my way, and this way I get time to top up whatever I need to top up in terms of my resources or my energy, because I feel like I need time for myself, basically. So I'm just going to do Astro Dice reading for you guys. So this one is the South Node, which is K2. It's about things that you are being pushed away from, that you're finding that don't work for you on a lower level. So unless you can find a higher level, more spiritual kind of, not necessarily, well, yeah, spiritual, but like that feels good to your subconscious, basically, minimal, right? And then the sixth house here, and then Capricorn here. So here, unless it meets your kind of, unless it makes your subconscious feel good and your spirituality feels good, like in terms of you find a higher purpose behind it, you don't want to start routines that you don't get on with and that don't help you to structure or build that whole new life, because it's about creating a structure that works, that will always work, and you can actually prioritize stuff and put things sequentially the way they should be. So that's what the decision making in the past, that was what that was about, especially, and these are like not being around like-minded people in relationships and having these kind of torn up emotions about it has been the trigger for that, if that makes sense. So now you just kind of want to get stuck in routines that actually work for you, not having to travel when you don't need to travel, and if you're traveling, making it about something that you feel works for your structure, your time, your schedule, and for things that make you feel like you can rest easy and sleep well at night, kind of thing about it. Okay. So in the present, you've got Venus, 12th house, and Pisces. So two Pisces or two 12s. So this is your present decisions that you're struggling to make are to do with how you're feeling drained and you're not able to really think straight as much as you want to, because your subconscious isn't able to rest. So you feel like you might actually be having issues with sleeping at the moment because you're trying to prioritize, and it is about these relationships. Venus represents relationships, and it is about prioritizing. It is very Taurian as well, so you've got so much Taurus energy. Everything that's negative about this, the Taurus is it's about slowing things down unnecessarily, whereas when you've got it right, you made the right decisions, then you're able to maintain things sustainably in a decent way, so that you have a sustainable flow. And it feels like if you do that, then you have the creativity you need. You're able to let go of the things you need to let go of in the present moment that will help you with your creativity and your ability to kind of work with things. You might even have to ghost some people in order to be able to do this, like just kind of go off, without saying much to people, and then just not have to explain where you went or how you went or whatever. Okay, but then that will allow you to have more victory here, if that makes sense, in terms of getting into routines for your work and your social life that you can actually live with and enjoy and feel victorious about. Right, so this is the sixth house again. This is Cancer, the sign, and then this is Saturn. Right. Okay, so if you can get all of that sorted, then this month will give you the workflow that you want, which is Cancer. And then that will make you feel nourished and like you've got a great home life and you've got enough, because you kind of, if you, Cancer is like basically making food not a priority, but it's like, when you make sure that instead of overworking so you forget to eat a meal, you make sure your meals are catered to all the things you actually physically need in terms of rest and all the rejuvenation things that you need are done, and then building a work schedule around them so that you can maintain a healthy schedule and your body won't have to suffer, if that makes sense. It's not, I'm not giving a medical reading here at all, but it's just a case of trying to make sure you have enough balance so that you can sustain your results and then have long-term success, and you're able to live the life that you want, and scale up. And yeah, it feels like if you get into the right routines, it's not just better for your well-being in general, but you're able to problem solve very quickly and be adaptable to things that you need to change, and you have a better schedule. Then you'll be able to take on multiple things at the same time, so you're not rushed for time and space. Okay. So I'll catch you in the next reading, guys. Have a nice month.